Hey y'all, my name is Elizabeth and I am the creator and now dyer behind Mountain Sage Fiber Co., which is my new hand-dyed yarn dyeing business. And I'm coming to you in my first video. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and show you the projects that I'm currently working on, and then I want to show you what's in the shop. It launched today, so by the time this video goes up, all the listings in the Etsy store will be live. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about those here. Again, my name is Elizabeth, and my family and I live here in the southwest corner of Idaho. We're just outside the Boise area. We've lived here for about, I think, 3 years now. We moved up here from Texas. And really we moved up here just because we wanted to be near the mountains. The only mountains down in Texas are near the border. And that's not where we originally are from. We were from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We wanted to be in the mountains, and so in 2021, I think, we just made the decision to make that dream a reality. So my husband and my 3 kids and I, we packed up and we moved across the country. And yeah, our adventure up here in Idaho has been an interesting one, to say the least. Maybe in future episodes I'll kind of go into a little bit of that, but anyway, so yeah, I work full-time outside of the house. My degree is actually in landscape architecture. I did that for a couple of years, and then I actually got my teaching certification, and I taught elementary and high school art for about 11 years. And then when we moved up here to Idaho, I did teach for 1 year, but then the year after that, the school district made some staffing changes, and sadly they had to let me go. So I went back to landscape architecture, did that for about a year, had planned on just staying there for, you know, as long as I was going to be doing that. And then when the economy really started kind of getting a little bad, my company did some layoffs, so me and another person were let go. So yeah, it's been kind of a rough ride for me, but it's okay. We weather the storm and we make it work. So I'm currently working with a construction company here locally. I'm working as one of their engineers with a bunch of their concrete work and doing some drafting, and it's fine. I work with some really awesome people, which makes it really good. But yeah, so I just, it's a very dry job, which is, it's okay. But being an artist, like, I really just, I need that creative outlet. And so thankfully I have, you know, several hobbies that do that for me, but I was looking for more. And so I just decided to start dyeing yarn. I had been, you know, admiring all the beautiful things that I've seen for years now that people put out, and was always interested in the process, but never just really took that jump to try it myself until recently. So I'm very excited to be doing that. I'm learning a lot, and it's been a lot of fun. So we'll get into my creations here in a little bit. I want to first show you what I'm working on. My background with, I guess, crafts, I don't like to use that word, but I don't have a better word for it. I guess I could say fiber arts maybe sounds better. But my first introduction into all of that was when I was 11, and my mother taught me how to cross stitch. And I became very proficient at that, and I still do it, just not as much these days. But I did that first, and then right after my oldest was born, I think about 2010, yeah, 2010. My mother also taught me to learn how to knit, and she only taught me the basic 2 stitches, the knit stitch and the purl stitch. Everything I've learned after that, I've done via YouTube. And we live in this wonderful time in the world where the internet makes that possible, thank goodness. Not that I have anything against libraries, but I love to actually see the demonstrations as opposed to just still photos either in a book or on a website. So yeah, I learned the basic stitches, and then everything after that learned myself. And I wanted to learn how to knit after my oldest was born because I wanted to be able to make her some things. And I did. I made her some hats and some dresses. But I really, really became a fanatic about knitting socks. That is one of my favorite things to knit. And I do love to knit garments as well. Really anything. But socks are my favorite. They're quick. I mean, obviously they're fun, but it's neat to have something that works up so quickly that you can wear. And I know, hats are the same way, and mittens, but there's just something about socks that really just kind of does it for me. Anything really that has a unique construction really just kind of gets me going. I have done some sweaters that have had some unique construction. The one I'm wearing is not, I did not make this. This is a store-bought sweater, but I do have a couple on the go that you'll see here in a second. But yeah, so anything with a unique construction, there's just something about that that really is interesting to me, how things come together using just the basic tools of yarn and needles. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for what I do fiber arts wise. I do drawing and painting, and like I said, I taught art, so I do all those things too. My grandma tried to teach me how to crochet when I was little, and it just never stuck. Although I'm seeing a lot of things on Instagram, and that my interest is getting piqued a little bit. So who knows? Maybe I'll pick that up too. But I know that might be a rabbit hole that I may not want to go down. I have no idea. So yeah. Anyway, I think that just kind of rounds up, my knowledge and background of fiber arts and crafts and things that I keep myself busy with. So let's get into what I'm working on. I did finish a pair of socks last night right before bed. One of them does not have the ends woven in yet, but I can do that later. I wet blocked them this morning because I wanted to show them for the video, so they are still damp. That's okay, but yeah, so I'll show those first. So these are the heel toe do-si-do socks from the Crazy Sock Lady. So there's a close-up of that pattern. It's a zigzag pattern. I'm sure you're familiar with it. I mean, everybody knows who Kay is and her wonderful, wonderful podcast. So yeah, the heel toe do-si-do socks. I can't remember who this yarn is from. I've had it in my stash for a very long time. If it comes to me, I will put it down in the description. But anyway, I did use a contrast color for toes and heels. I do remember this is a Knit Picks that I used in a sweater a while back. I do remember what that yarn is. So yeah, so there's those. They're still a little damp, but that's okay. Okay, the next thing that I have started that I do want to get finished, I'm kind of organizing this in order of how I want to finish off some whips that are on my needles. Every time I say something like plan-wise, it usually never happens. So I don't even know why I go there, but I don't know. I can commit to things, but I always find, like, especially with knitting, mostly with knitting, things always kind of jump in that were unplanned. But anyway, the next thing I want to get off the needles is another pair of socks. And I don't have a name for these because the pattern is just kind of from my head. It's using a stitch count that I've used in a couple of other sock patterns, and I just kind of created my own arrangement of that. So the highlighter yellow color is from Lolo Did It. That was a skein I used in a shawl several years ago that I had some leftovers. So I did a pop of color there at the cuff, and obviously the contrasting heel and toe. And then the main color of the sock is actually my very first skein that I tried to dye. I ordered a bunch of practice skeins. This was a undyed, like a bare Knit Picks stroll that I just had sitting on my shelf. I'd had it for a long time. So I decided to give it a go for the first time with that skein of yarn. And I have the rest of the cake here. So when it came out of the dye pot, it looked like it had everything but the kitchen sink in it. I had no idea really what to do. I just started dumping colors in, trying my hand at like speckling, and it came out looking pretty interesting once it was dry. But when it caked up, it's really not that bad. And I'm gonna knit with yarn. Like, I'm not gonna let yarn go to waste. So and then even as the sock, it's knitted up quite nicely. So, you know, never judge a book by its cover, I guess, right? So here's the rest of what I've got. Both of those socks are being knit on 2.25 millimeter needles. I had knit socks for a very long time on 2.5, and then when I did my first pair on 2.25 millimeter, I actually had to go up a stitch count and down a needle size. But I'm starting to like my socks a little snugger recently, so I'm kind of playing around with a smaller stitch count on 2.25 and see how that goes. So some people just like to know that information. Yeah, so 2.25 is kind of what I stick with nowadays. So okay, I'm just gonna do all the socks up front here at the beginning. I have another pair of socks here. I think this is, yeah, I think this is the last pair I have on the needles. So again, these don't have a name because they're I took the pattern from a stitch dictionary that I have. By the way, if you can start a collection of stitch dictionary books, I highly recommend it. Especially if you like, you know, doing your own thing, not always having to buy patterns. And while I love supporting people who make their business out of that, you know, sometimes it's just kind of nice to do your own thing. So stitch dictionaries are a really good resource to have. And so that's where this one is from. It's just a nice little Celtic cable pattern. And then the back is just stockinette. So the main color here is a Knit Picks stroll. I'm trying to work my way through a lot of my Knit Picks yarn. I do have quite a bit of it, so it will take me a while, but I like the selection that Knit Picks offers, but their yarn doesn't wear as well as the yarn that you would get from, I'm sorry if you heard that, the motorcycle, and my son's mowing the yard. This window up here is very thin. Anyway, I've noticed that the Knit Picks yarn, it doesn't wear as well as the yarn from a hand dyer, which, you know, it's fine, but it's Knit Picks is a yarn that seems to always wear out first for me. Like I have to darn it and it pills a lot faster. So, I mean, I don't know what to do about that. It's just an observation I've made. So this is the Knit Picks yarn, and then the contrasting color is from, what is her name? Oh my gosh, I just forgot her name. But her shop name is Haute Knit Yarn, Haute. Haute. It's that French, I think, word, Haute Knit Yarn. I know she's out of Maine. I forget her first name, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I have a lot of her yarn. She's been one of my favorite dyers. So this is some leftovers that I had put in a shawl a while back. So yeah, this will be fun to finish up. I love cables. Cables are one of my favorite fabric characteristics with knitted objects. So yeah, and these are actually on 2.5. Yeah, and I think I went up to a larger needle just because of the cabling. The cabling tends to suck the fabric in a little bit. And even though it's quite stretchy, like I didn't want to get all the way through a sock and then it end up being too tight. So I did go up a needle size for that. And the fabric is coming out really nice. I'm very happy with these. So yeah. Okay, that's it. I want to stay organized, so let me take the time to put things back in bags. These socks sit in a Dollar Tree basket. I mean, how cute is that, to be honest? And then this is a bag that I made a while ago. I haven't made bags in a long time. I don't have any plans to make bags. Who knows if that'll change, but yeah, this is a bag that I did a while back. Okay, this next whip I've got, just kind of finicky because it's a stranded project. There we go. It's in another bag that I made a while back. Coffee cups, and then there we go. This is the sea glass hat from Wool and Pine. Let me get it untangled here. Oh. Okay. Oh goodness. Okay. This is where I'm at. And the black on the band is actually the same yarn that I used for the heel toe do-si-do socks. Big leftovers fan. Black goes with everything. Maybe the exception is some browns, but black pretty much goes with everything. So that was a nice, foundation for the hat. And then I'm just using a whole bunch of little, when I say mini skein, I mean like mini skein. A whole bunch of little mini skeins. In fact, I'll show you here. Just have a little bag of mini skeins. And as I've been working through this, I've been trying to pair each row with not only a light and a dark, but also a pair that's highly contrasting. So if you think about those of you who can, visualize the color wheel, you can visualize the color wheel. The colors on opposite sides of the color wheel are called complementary colors. And they usually, when they're paired together, they make each other really pop. If you mix them, you get, more than likely, you're gonna get brown. But sitting next to each other, they're called complementary colors because they highlight each other. So I've been trying to, if I can't get a complementary pair, at least I've got a light and a dark contrast in that. So here's my sea glass hat. This is a very finicky project. If it were just two colors through the whole thing, it would not be nearly as finicky, but you can see all the ends I've got here. to weave in. And actually, I don't think I'm gonna weave them in. I think what I'm gonna do, and I saw this on an Instagram video, I think I'm gonna try and just like French braid them, and then weave in the tops. I'm gonna give it a go. If you have done that before, let me know down in the comments how it went. I thought it was a really great approach to weaving in a ton of ends, because honestly, who wants to sit there and tackle that? They are woven in as I've changed colors, kind of like how you would do with stranded and you lock your floats down. I did do that, but just to be on the safe side, I do want to do an additional step with the ends, just to make sure that nothing comes popping out, because I've had that happen before. So yeah, that's a lot of fun right there. But I think it's a beautiful, beautiful pattern. I don't know if I could commit myself to the full sweater or the cardigan that they have, because that seems like it would, with everything else I have going on in my life, that seems like it would probably take me like, I don't know if I would ever finish something like that. So I thought a hat would be perfect. So, okay. And I just remembered that I don't have my Cozy Memories blanket in here with me. That's okay. I'll show that to you next time. Okay, I've got two more things. They are both sweaters and both very different constructions. So we'll do the first one here. This is a pattern by, oh, and this is in a bag that I made. It's my big sweater bag. And then the inside of it. So, yeah. This is a pattern by Jennifer Steingass. This is the Whinfell sweater. I can't remember when she published this, but it's been a few years since this came out. But it's one of those patterns that I think is just gonna like age timelessly. It's not really ever gonna go out of style. So what I've got so far is I've joined the sleeves and I am working my way up the yoke. So this is a bottom up construction. You started at the hem, you work this little color work band, work the body up to a certain point, and then you do the sleeves separately from the cuff up, and then you attach them. And I've never done a sweater like this before, so I had to read through the pattern a few times to visualize what was happening. So let me make sure I say this correctly. When you get to the point of attaching the sleeves, you have live stitches on the body, and from wherever the beginning of the round is, you knit to the place where you had the underarm stitches on like scrap yarn. You can see there. So once you knit from your beginning of round, you knit across to where your armhole is, and then you actually knit on the sleeve, and you leave a few stitches open on the underside because you're going to graft those. You're going to like Kitchener stitch them, or I guess graft them together. Then you knit across the back, and then you knit the other arm on from the live stitches that are being held back to your beginning of round. So you have the holes on the underside of the arm, like where your armpits are, and those will stay kind of open until you finish, and then the last thing you do is you Kitchener that together. So after you get the sleeves on, there's a little bit of body shaping that happens, and then you do the yoke, and then whatever the neckband looks like. So there's a bunch of color work getting ready to happen here for the yoke. Let me show you the colors. So the body is done. This is a yarn by, I'm probably gonna mess this up, I think the company is Baah Yarn, B-A-A-H. And I think this base is their La Jolla base. This is yarn I've had, I got it down when we were in Texas. I don't think they're, I feel like if I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna be wildly wrong. So I'm just gonna say, I don't know where they're based out of, but Baah Yarn, I believe the base is La Jolla. And you can see it's this really pretty light gray. The colorwork accents I have done so far are in this color. This is I've had this for a while too. I think this is from Hazelnuts. I used to buy a lot from her. And then the last color that I've got that obviously hasn't gone in yet, but is the main color in the yoke, is the pink. And this is a Madeline Tosh Merino Light, I believe. I have no idea what the color name is, but it's okay. So yeah, after I get that one pair of socks done, I want to jump back over to this sweater because I'm like approaching the finish line. And it would be nice to have it for this year because the weather is starting to turn here in Idaho. The mornings are starting to get down into the 40s. We are still warm and dry in the afternoons, which I'm not happy about, but the mornings are starting to get really cool. So they're crisp, which is nice. Yeah. Okay. And then I have one more whip to show you. This is another sweater. I have been working on this sweater for years. I cast it on and I got, it's done in, it's a seamed sweater. So I had got like, I think I started to do shoulder shaping on the back piece, the very first piece to the sweater in the pattern, and just happened to realize that I never switched needle sizes from the ribbing at the waist to when the pattern started. I think I cried as I ripped it out. And then it went into timeout for a very long time. But it's a cabled sweater and I love cabled sweaters. And the yarn is Sublime Yarns. It's their Merino, which is amazing to knit with. It feels like, it just feels beautiful. So I couldn't just like never finish it. So it sat in timeout for a while, and then I say recently, like months ago, I think it was a year ago. It was Thanksgiving last year. I cast it back on and made sure to correctly switch needle sizes. And I am almost done with the back panel. And you'll see why this has taken me so long. Some of you that knit a lot of sweaters, especially cable knit sweaters, you're probably like, oh, that wouldn't take me very long at all. And I am jealous of that. But yeah, I'm not moving very fast with this pattern, and that's okay. That's okay. I wanted it for this year, but unless I just knit 24/7 and never slept, it's not going to happen. So this is one of those projects that I've accepted that I just need to enjoy the process rather than strive to have a product. So this is the, oh gosh, what is it called? I'll link it. I'll put the name down below. It's a pattern from Interweave Knits magazine from a few years ago. But yeah, here it is. This yarn, the Sublime yarn, the Merino, I bought from Webb's, and 2 of the skeins they sent me from a different dye lot. So while, and I think I want to say it was like 9 to 11 skeins of yarn, and 2 of them were a different ivory than the rest of them. And I didn't want to go through the whole, I don't even know, I don't order from webs a lot, so I don't know what their return policy is. I would be shocked if they did returns or exchanges. They might, but I wasn't going to deal with that. So I had to problem solve. So what I did was I used and you can't really see it in the video, although if you look really closely, I mean, I can because I know, but if you look closely, you might be able to see it. I use the darker skeins. I'm using them as the ribbing. And then the ones that are the correct color are the body. And I think that's going to be a decent workaround. You know, as an artist, my best advice is always, if you never tell people what the mistakes are, they will never know. So, I mean, I'm telling you now, but when I get to the point of wearing this out in public, no one will know that that was an error and it should have looked different. I mean, who's gonna know? Who is honestly going to know? So, yeah. Oh, I love this. I actually, a couple Christmases ago, I took a few of these stitch patterns. I think I took this cable, the twisted rib, this stag cable, this guy. Yeah, I took these cables here at the end and I designed a pair of socks with them. I don't have that pattern written up. I don't know if I have plans to. I'll show those in another episode because they came out really, really neat. But yeah, I just love the cabling. Oh my gosh, look at that. So beautiful. So almost done with it. Okay. So that's what I have in the way of whips. Now let's get into talking about the shop. So, Mountain Sage Fiber Co. is the name of the shop, and it's on Etsy. My goal is to eventually get an independent website, but for now we're going to start on Etsy and see how it goes. So I have got 5 main colorways, and then I've got a set of mini skeins. So I will walk you through those and give you a good look. The shop will launch today at noon. So by the time this video goes up, it will already be open and hopefully have some traction. So we'll see. But let's see. Okay. So I dyed on fingering weight and some DK, and then the mini skein set. So my first colorway here is Apple Cider. So Apple Cider is a really beautiful reddish orange with yellow, and then it's got some green speckling throughout because I love speckled yarn. It reminds me of fall foliage as the trees change. Yeah, so that's pretty. Here's my logo. I have no idea if that's coming in backwards or not. It's okay. So yeah, Apple Cider. And then here it is on DK. And then we've got Cozy Corner, or Cozy Corner. I was gonna name it Cozy Corner. I changed it to Coffee Corner. It's Coffee Corner. So here's Coffee Corner. And Coffee Corner makes me think of like curling up by the window with a knit blanket on your lap and a cup of coffee and looking at the leaves changing outside. So I didn't want a heavily saturated color. You can see the bare yarn is splashed with some of this coffee brown, and then I put some speckling through it with some browns and oranges, and I did use a bright yellow just to bring some playfulness into it. So yeah, this is Coffee Corner on fingering. Oh, keep getting notifications. And then here it is on DK. So Coffee Corner. Okay, and the next colorway is Campfire. This is actually one of my favorite ones that I did. So here's Campfire. And Campfire is a beautiful, the camera's not even picking up, like, because the lighting in my house has the worst lighting. It's a 1970s house, so it's not like a new build where they have windows everywhere. It's an older house and the lighting is horrible. So I'm doing the best I can until I can get one of those ring lights. I've seen ones where they put the lights on the side of the phone, but anyway, I'm doing the best I can. Bear with me. The photos in the shop look a lot better, but it's a navy blue, a very, very saturated navy blue, and then it fades out to some lighter tones of the same color, and then there's a pop of speckling in there. So there's like oranges and yellows, and then there's a little bit of green in there as well, but just kind of, you know, makes me feel like, you know, sitting around the campfire on a cool, like, starry night out in the woods on a camping trip, and just that beautiful night sky with the embers of the fire. So there it is on fingering, and then DK. Yeah. Okay. Next up is Lunar. I don't want to take the labels off the yarn because that's a lot of work, but I think when I show the next round of yarn, I will show them with the labels off, but you can get a good idea of what you're seeing here. So Lunar is it started with a black, and then it transitions into a beautiful purple that fades into some dark and light areas, and then you have this little pop of like a straw yellow color with some purple speckling in there. So this came out really, really nice. I'm excited about this one. And then here it is on DK. Yeah, it's pretty. And then the last of the full skeins I have, this last one is called Forestwood. And so this one was the most complicated one for me to dye. So it's got like 3 different greens in it, and then a splash of like a bronzy brown and some yellow. And then I used the same colors to speckle with, but just kind of strategically placed those speckle colors to complement or contrast with the base color they were sitting on. So there's some like teal in there, some aqua, there's like some yellow green, some forest like moss green, some greenish brown. Like, just the way that the colors mixed in the dye pan was really neat. So that's Forestwood. And then here it is on DK. So really excited about that color. I'm hoping to dye up more of this. When my shop launches, I'll be interested to see like which ones sell like first. And that'll kind of let me know like which ones I need to bring back and do more of. And also it would help me out if you guys headed over there and took a look, and then you can like leave a comment and tell me, you know, which ones are your favorites, which ones you would like to see as a reoccurring colorway in the shop. And yeah, just give me some feedback. Let me know what your opinions are. So that's Forestwood. And then the last thing I have is a set of mini skeins. And let me get some of these little ends tucked in. Those little tie downs in the skein of yarn, this supplier, like they have really long tie downs, so I'm like constantly having to tuck them in. Okay, so here's a set of mini skeins. So very autumnal fall colors. We've obviously got an orange, so this is Blaze. Illusion is the purple. Moss is the green. There's Sika, which is the name of a deer for this brown. And then you can't really see it very well in the wrapping, but this one is Pressed Flowers. And this is, it's got a whole bunch of speckling of all these colors in it. And then I over dyed it with some black. So it kind of gives the vibe of like aged, like pressed flowers with kind of like this like dark academia kind of vibe to it. So I like the way that it came out. But yeah, so there's 5 sets of these that will be in the shop. And there's each of the colorways that I just showed you previously. There's 2 skeins of fingering weight and there's 1 DK. So getting started, I wish I could put more up in there, but getting started, that's what I decided to go with. And I'm hoping to build on it. So yeah, head on over there, Mountain Sage Fiber Co. on Etsy, and see, it launches at noon, but again, by the time this video goes up, it will be live. And then you can also follow me on Instagram, Mountain Sage Fiber Co. All one word, all lowercase, Mountain Sage Fiber Co. That's my Instagram name. Give me a follow there. I post, you know, all the things that I'm working on and my knitting whips, and I keep up with my stories. I try to, it can be hard to do that working out of the house full time, but try to keep up with the stories. But I am very active over there. And then, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not currently on Ravelry. That could change. We'll see. I'm just kind of like rolling with it as this kind of gets going. So let me know your feedback and comments and yeah, all of that. You know, because that's really going to kind of shape how I move forward, is just hearing back from you guys and seeing what you think. So anyway, that pretty much does it for me. Like I said, head on over to my Instagram, head on over to my Etsy shop, and yeah, I would like to try and do a weekly video, but I don't know if I can knit fast enough to have a whole lot of progress. So I may go with every 2 weeks. We'll see. But yeah, anyway, so it was so great to get to talk to you guys and show you what I'm working on, show you what I've been dyeing, introduce my shop, introduce myself to the community, and I cannot wait to meet more knitting friends and talk to you guys about all the yarny goodness. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye.